Thanks, everybody, for joining. This is Anthony Joplin, president, founder, co-founder of Joplin Financial. I'm also the broker for investment realty, homes and loans. I also happen to have a multitude of other businesses out there. So if anybody's interested in talking business, I'm your guy. Regardless, I want to bring on some people. I've known Doug for a decent amount of time here. So Doug is Doug Black, really great guy in escrow. I'll let him kind of give you the background, but what a stellar dude, great connector. He's the golden connector. So I really appreciate everything Doug does for me. I got Ryan Stevens. I've known Ryan since God, he was in high school, coached him at football, and it's just a good dude overall. So we're actually in his studio right now. Thanks for letting us use it, bud.
Oh, anytime.
Appreciate it, man. And then I've actually known, got to my right, Brett Goda. So Brett has worked for me in the debt side of business, so C Revest Credit Solutions. But I've known Brett way before then. We met at line dancing at In Cahoots because our wives went to high school. If you want to know a lot of really weird, awkward stories, that's my guy. So
Do you know a couple?
oh, that's weird. So just want to say thanks everybody coming on, but let's kind of just jump in. I know that Ryan's in real estate. Obviously, Let's Talk Real Estate. Let's Tune In Media. That's the best. I want to say thank you to you, but just get between us. Brett, you may not be able to lend yourself to the conversation. We're talk about Doug and what he's done for a while, and then we'll go to Ryan. And we'll go from there. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's fucking do it.
Sure, I guess that means time for me to share. Probably late 70s, got into the business right out of high school, and on the title insurance side, started helping the real estate agents. They would use title insurance as a resource to find out who owns a property, what encumbrances are against a property, get an evaluation, homes that have sold. Title insurance would gather the data from different vendors at that time. That was DataQuick 50 years ago. That industry has morphed, and it's turned into AI, actually. And it's still an essential resource for pretty much anybody in the business, whether it's commercial or residential. They're all using Intel to find their target market. And that's still a resource at title insurance and or escrow. I work closely with Fidelity National, close friendship there for years. Jim Anderson, super guy as well.
Yeah.
Not here right now, but kind of a right-hand man out there. We're in our early 60s, and we still enjoy knocking on doors, introducing ourselves to new agents, developing business. Helping them solve their problems means a lot to us, because that right now it's a needs-driven economy. I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, why is somebody selling, and how does it make sense? Where do they go? What do they do? So enough about me. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I'm not quite sure who's going to listen or what value you're going to want to derive from this. My goal is going to be to at least help you feel that there's a resource here with the gentlemen here that are at the table, to reach out to them and say, hey, these guys actually have been around the block. They can bring value, and they actually care, because it's for most people, the home and their investments, this is the biggest investment they have.
Sure. Absolutely.
I think what you said is great, and I think a lot of people the consumer or the principal doesn't really know a lot of intel on what you guys do. Title and escrow is such a key role to the transaction, and I think because you guys aren't the face that like real estate, or have as much. It's funny because you guys end up having, if not more, sometimes communication to the principal and that client, that I think it's really important. And I think it's really important who brokerages and just the people that choose who to work with as a unit, and that teamwork is very essential, especially in the needs category, which is really important. There's a lot of stuff that you guys do behind the scenes, making sure that you guys catch mistakes and making sure that the escrow goes really smooth. So
I'll be honest. I work with a lot of agents that are just complete idiots. Like I'll be talking to somebody. You have a buyer's agent, listing agent, right? Whatever side you're on. The other side, especially in the industry now, or it's you have all these people who just have the 1-2 deals a year. To be a top producer, you get 4 deals a year. All of a sudden, you're in the circle. So it's hilarious because they don't even know how to write the deal. They get in the transaction, the TC takes over, right? The escrow, the title. All of a sudden, the agent goes, where's my commission check?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's just super selfish. And at the end of the day, that's why the whole NAR thing that was coming out, right, with the settlement proposal, it's so funny that everybody's making these changes. They're doing policy changes. Everyone's come out with a new, you know, what's the buyer's agent's commission supposed to look like? There's no buyer's commission. What's happening? The settlement hasn't even been reviewed yet. We haven't even had the opposing counsel get back feedback. We're looking at something, we're making policy changes on a maybe. I mean, I understand getting ready for it, but at the end of the day, this could be the biggest money-making opportunity for buyers agents ever, period. So you've got listing that was unilateral compensation given to these buyers agents, and now the buyers agents, if they're sharp, can negotiate from the seller, from the buyer, whomever, right? It's just ridiculous. And then if you have all the resources like Doug, right? Doug can go out and find all these problems and be your magic fixer. That's why I love Doug so much. I'm like, Doug, I got this problem. He's like, no problem. Let's go out there and kick some ass.
Well, it helps to have relationships. And I think anybody in business for a period of time starts gathering resources around themselves. For me, it looks like the county assessor, the county recorder, local attorney groups, know who your developers are, all the way down to handymans so that they could be referred to the real estate agents. I've been licensed for 30 years as well, sold a bunch of homes over the years also. But we have to surround ourselves with people that care.
Sure.
I agree. And uphold the standards that should be upheld, you know, I think relationships, but also the knowledge and the knowledge that you bring with that experience is really key. So I think
I love how you kind of looked at me as if I have that. So thank you for the accreditation.
I
It's the
think-
gray hair.
I think it's the wisdom, you know.
Self-deprecating,
Well,
but yeah.
it's 30 years. You know,
Well, thank
I
you.
haven't been alive for 30 years, so
All right,
you know
guy.
that's I just think it's really important, even for the consumer, to kind of think of it as who I hire matters, because your experiences, and like I've been thinking about it a lot with partnerships of getting an older agent who's been doing it for maybe 40, 50 years, and all the things that they've had to, experience through the changes even, people don't think about all that. They went through different times where laws were being totally restructured.
Yeah.
Obviously it's always evolving, but yeah.
Absolutely, and that's why it's great. Brett here, Esquire, has that background to speak to that. I mean, I'll pass the torch here. I don't want to be holding the floor, but the idea is that we have statutes because it would be great if everyone were honest.
Yeah.
But there's always the scoundrel element or the let's cut this corner element, and it ultimately hurts the consumer.
100%.
That's why we have, I think when I started, the contract was 2 pages, 3 pages. Now it just keeps growing, 11, 12, 13, and the disclosures. But that's because California Association of Realtors, blessings to them, their attorney group continues to, whatever the most previously litigated scenario was the year before, that's what's going to show up on the contract to hopefully eliminate that ahead of time.
Yeah, because even this NAR lawsuit started from a state that was, I think, probably lacking on that legal jargon that you probably need to have. And like California, I think we have probably, I would think, one of the most doctrine. Is that the right word?
Yeah. Right.
Legal
Go with
doctrine.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go with it.
The
So-
most legal.
So are you an
Beagles.
attorney then?
Not an attorney.
Oh, okay.
I have a tax law specialty. I
Oh,
graduated from
nice.
law school, but I've been
Congrats.
doing sales consulting for the last
oh
decade.
my gosh, that's incredible though.
He's not even my tax guy.
Oh, don't.
I know.
Well, I might need one too.
It's okay. I could save you more money than his tax guy. So
Oh,
let me
there we
know.
go. Even better.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Listen, shots received. Shots
Shots
received.
fired.
Literally in the chest.
Podcast.
It's all good, man. It's all good. That's what we should call it. We should call it shots fired.
The Shots Fired podcast.
That's it. No, it's so. But what's really funny is that kind of how everybody's meeting, right? So I met Brett literally through my wife Kimberly, her friend Ariana, and it was funny because the girls are dancing. I'm like, man, I would just do anything. I would literally crawl through a field of broken glass to have 5 minutes with her, just to have a conversation with my now wife. So it was amazing. So then I was like, oh, your friends are now my friends, right?
Yeah,
So
and pause that right there because I was going through the exact same
Phase.
at the exact same time where I had just met my wife, and second date she's like, oh yeah, I'm going dancing with my girlfriends. I was like, all right, I'll just show
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
It's a
let's go.
Wednesday. Like, we just had our first date at sushi the night before.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, you know what? I've never been to In Cahoots line
Mhm.
dancing,
Oh,
but
In Cahoots was the best. I can't believe the city. It was almost as bad as losing the Chargers. I honestly think the mayor should have got involved. I think In Cahoots was something that should have been.
Oh, there's a whole story.
Like, there's so much fun there. That was
it's an
such a happy
establishment
place.
that
It was
needs
almost.
to be.
Yeah, I think it was something that really people, if whatever was going on with their day or if it's a bad day, they went to In Cahoots and had a good time and went line dancing.
6 days a week, baby.
I know, it was so,
Yes.
well, okay, some people were extremists. But
That's me.
Yeah, which
some
means-
people were
Which means I don't have the dance moves that Anthony has. I
No.
went just enough to woo her.
Yeah.
We got married very fast.
Then maybe you
within
did
a
have
year.
the right dance moves. I don't
just
know.
had enough, time.
Yeah,
but
that's
it was only like my second or third time though. I meet this
I
guy,
miss
Jop.
In Cahoots.
You know, our mutual friend, our wife's mutual friend, Julie, was like,
Oh, yeah.
you need to meet Jop. And I'm like, okay. And basically set up this introduction. And here's Anthony with all of his business knowledge. I come from tax law specialty. I did tax efficiency planning for like 3 years after law school. And now I'm doing sales and I'm consulting all these ways. Him and I basically, he bought me a beer and we literally, the first time we met, I think we talked for like an hour. And like
Yeah,
we just literally talked business for an
forgot
hour.
everybody else was
Yeah,
there.
no, that's the thing that Coach he hypnotizes you. It feels like sometimes you're like, oh my God, where'd my day go? I've been hanging out with this guy since 12.
I'm not sure if that's good or
I
bad.
don't know. It's not a bad thing. I always laugh my ass off.
I think we could give a moniker. It's like a charismatic vortex.
Yeah, no, I know. It's
Ooh.
awesome.
Ooh, vortex.
Was that a compliment or what?
You know, I figure myself as like a binary star. I suck
Yeah,
you in,
there
and we
we go.
just keep hanging out, and all of a sudden, the supernova
Now we're
explodes.
working.
But it took some time. It took
It
some
should-
time from 2016 when we met to
That sure
work
did.
together. Yep.
Well, so we met, we were dancing, it was all good, and that was crazy because just more on the In Cahoots thing, that place was so well known, so well liked. And it was just unbelievable. So when it closed, I mean, there were people. We showed up final day, right? I mean, it was just like tears everywhere. People are like grabbing the floorboards. We're not leaving. Like it was.
It should have been. I think the local politicians should have stepped up. I
Yeah.
really think. I think that place was. I don't think of one place that makes me happier than In Cahoots.
I know who bought it. There's these furniture guys that bought it, and if they're
So
if
we
they,
need to go after them.
if they ever listen to this,
Yeah.
I will buy it.
Okay,
I'm gonna buy
perfect.
it from them. Listen, and I'm gonna bring it back. We'll go. We'll go out of Cahoots.
Yeah. No, tell me, man. We'll figure it out. That place should have got an honorary award of some sort. You know.
Oh,
Just,
yeah.
You know, a tax exemption or something.
Okay, so
Well, I think you're kind of onto something there because community.
Well, no. Well, we do so much for other nonprofit communities
Right.
and
Yeah.
church. Like that place would have all walks of life.
Mhm.
People felt loved. There wasn't politics.
There you
It
go.
was just I don't know what it was. It was this holy matrimony of just it felt like just this place where everybody could go and have a good time, let their worries go away, and I felt like that was mutual among. And I was always sober, so I don't drink. So when I'm out, I just preview everyone how they're acting,
Yeah.
what the energy's like, and that was the one place I could really honestly say that felt community driven. So for whatever that's worth, but yeah, doesn't have any monetary value.
about $100,000.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it's like food. You got to put a number
yeah,
on
no,
it.
exactly. But it's sad that place. Oh,
Let's
I get
just
to have a
let's
podcast
just throw
on
out there that Anthony kept that in business an extra quarter longer than it should
Probably.
have been, probably.
Oh,
So
yeah. At that point, we were doing pretty well, and this is before I met my wife, so I had all the money, and so
That was a past tense reference.
yeah, so I moved in 100 yards away from In Cahoots, so I could walk there. I'd literally go home, park my car, change into jeans and boots, and was there for the 6 o'clock, and I think it was the 8 o'clock, 6:30 or 7:30, right? So 6:30, 7:30, and it was unbelievable. And I remember Brett showing up one time, and I was like, dude, we gotta hang out. And he's over there getting after it. I'm getting after it, and I was like, let's buy some beers. And we were talking for a period of time, and that's actually how I circled Brett back into the debt business, believe it or not, because
Wow.
I was sitting there looking for somebody who was sharp, somebody who got it right, and I started asking around. I was like, man, I need somebody, because I was doing it all myself. If you've ever done marketing yourself, it's like blowing your brains out. It's all the content. I mean, what we're doing now, like I couldn't do this solo. I got you guys to help me. I've got, all these people that are supporting. So it's great. Doing it solo sucks. So creating the content, getting it together, getting the system in place, getting Salesforce. I mean, it was just brutal. So bringing Brett on, I was asking everybody
still
around.
brutal.
Still brutal.
That damn Salesforce.
So bring it back. I mean, I think I was talking to Julie, and Julie, the same person who introduced us. And I was like, Julie, I'm looking for a marketing person. She goes, why don't you just hire Brett? I was like, holy shit, that's it. So I immediately, so I called Brett, and it was like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I just gave him a start date, and he's been with me since April of last year.
This is 2 years. So
2 years?
It's coming up on 2 years.
Holy shit.
Time is flying.
Sorry. We should get you a plaque.
I only had 2 kids and you had 0 kids then. And now we have 3 and 1. So
Wow.
The metrics are getting crazy.
the metrics getting great.
Yeah, that's like my beer to your beer, or my cocktail to your cocktail. It's 3 to 1.
Yes, we do work by that ratio on all days. 3 to 1.
Yeah, that's right. If I'm having 3 bourbons, he's having 1. Yeah.
Well, perspective comes down to every perspective always. I mean, excuse me, with business too. I mean, if I'm right, Anthony,
Yeah.
you do, you and Brett is helping building the debt collection, receivership, if you will, or kind of bringing lost revenue.
Doug, we're asset management.
Asset management,
full asset
QSO.
management, QSO.
I
just want to make sure.
well, thanks. So I'm instigating the correct statement. I like that. But that's helping the community too. You work with most of the credit unions in San Diego County and out of the area, helping them with the various types of assets that could perform a little better, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're kind of helping that along in a way that actually helps the consumer, which I think the more I get to know what you're doing on that side of the fence. And it's just a win-win. And you additionally have a real estate brokerage. You've got mortgage. You've got some creative options for both the agents that are there, and then additionally for the homeowners and the buyers too. I've been around. I've seen all kinds of offices. I recall when mortgages first started working under the real estate shingle. Gosh, that was probably 40 years ago, 35 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's always a different angle or a different play. And hopefully it's in the name of service, not in the name of how much money I can make. We want to make money. But at the same time, it comes down to community and how are we serving them? And what opportunities are we giving them that, let's just say banks are great. We love the opportunities that someone has to get a loan there, but that doesn't work for every consumer.
Right.
And so it's important to have people that with integrity would go ahead and represent what used to be called Alt-A or alternative paper. It's not Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac necessarily driven, but nonetheless, it's put together by a hedge fund or backed by capitalistic for the rest of our system, the monies, but you're putting it together with an outline that will allow them to buy a house even though they don't have perfect credit or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is important, of course, since you're not holding the money anymore and the assets are being transferred to back. But anyway, I just kind of, it's not necessarily a shameless plug, but it's the idea that for the listeners that, there's hope. Sometimes we think, okay, well, my bank told me I couldn't get a loan, therefore I'm going to sit on the sideline.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. There's so many alternative products out there with the rates going the way they were going, right? Because they were so low for so long. I mean, you could breathe, and get a loan years and years ago. Now they came out with all the new regulations after the big economic turn, right? Mm-hmm. So you have your Graham-Leach-Blyle, your Dodd-Frank, your acronyms here, origination of the CFPB. I could go on for literally hours on that. Most unregulated, unchecked power is the CFPB. So you have all these regulations coming down the pipe. The interest rates are starting to rise because they had to curb the inflation. They printed billions of dollars. Trillions of dollars. Like, what do you expect? I mean, what do you expect to happen? Oh, here, let me buy that beer for the same $3. And it's 12. Sorry.
But you have to understand
Inflation.
that 90% of the population doesn't understand, right? They're like, oh, I have free money. They don't understand how they didn't take an economics class in high school.
True.
They didn't take one in college. For the percentage that went, so
right, but as the rates are going up to curb the inflation, their lifestyle is like, no, I still want to go to the club on Friday. You know what I mean? Like, I want to get out there.
Nobody's changing their bad habits.
No one's changing their habits. They don't want to sacrifice their lifestyle. So it goes where? It goes on the freaking credit card.
Yeah.
It goes on their loans. All of a sudden, they want the brand new car. They don't lease it. They buy it. Oh, I got to own that car. So I buy the car. I get the credit card. I get 50 grand. All of a sudden, if I have a house, if I got 200 grand worth of equity, I can't even access my own equity. Why? Don't qualify. I don't even qualify to get my own money out of my own house. So now you have alternative financing to get the seconds out. You end up having to have your first that's maybe at a 3% interest rate. Your credit cards are at 29 to 33. You're paying an extra 3 G's a month. Just refi your first, suck up the 6%, 7% interest rate over a 30-year amortization. That's at least a fixed cost. Get yourself, right-sized. The problem is when they get themselves right-sized, they're going to do it again. It's just unbelievable. So the problem isn't just fixing the economics of it. It's fixing the behavior.
Where can I buy your course?
It's funny you ask.
Yeah.
Well, for
www.
$9.95, JoplinREs.com/course.
I mean, it's a great question. Wouldn't it be great if that's what was taught when we're growing up? If, the real reality of having to balance a checkbook, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then how would all the people on the top make all their money?
Right. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Unfortunately, these are, again, as somebody that has been trying to, as a kind gesture, to help people with their credit very lightly if they need it.
Call Ryan.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah. Well, I only know very limited.
Do you have a website that people can go to?
No, I'm not doing anything like that.
Let's talk
and I'm not
credit.
taking it. Yeah.
Ryan.
I was thinking that's what they wanted
Please
me to do.
email
Let's
him.
talk credit.
Please email him at
But-
ryan@letstalkcredit.com, please.
You're not gonna get very far with that one.
It's a 404.
But no, I really think it is important just for people to get as educated as possible. Right now, I think we're going to have a huge, some form of crisis with this credit card. I think people are living way outside their means. And again, every time I go out, and I go to the nightclubs all the time, and I think to myself, how are people doing it?
Yeah.
And I know it's not attainable. It's not it's gonna come to some weird, conclusion. But I
Ryan,
don't
is
know
there a
what's
story there? Let's go back, because you said you don't drink.
Yeah,
so
and I
you're
go
literally
out.
going out all the
Oh,
time
all the
for
time.
research purposes.
Well, yeah,
You're trying to say, like, you're
well,
like
I was
right
single
there.
for most of my life, so these last 15
Most
months.
of us are, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I guess to teach its own, but I.
Well, I
But
think
no,
I mentioned school a while ago. You have an academic perspective.
I do. Well, I look at things logistically. Again, because I love to go out and I love to, have fun. But I do think there's a difference between, partying and being responsible and actually enjoying the music and singing or whatever else I do. But and I love the line dancing
Or
The singing.
whatever else I
The
do.
people watching.
I love it.
But I think it's important
Don't
that
want to be too exclusive.
exactly, But I think it's the networking alone. It was
Yeah,
crazy because
absolutely.
people were always like, Ryan, how do you know all these people?
I
It's
agree
like,
with that.
Well, and I'm their DD. I'm their trustworthy
goodness,
a
yeah.
compass. I'm the one that they're I've seen people at their worst and best moments. So it kind of allows so much freedom as well as knowing them on different levels. And I think it's really cool because I have such a high energy naturally that most people think. Like, I've had people in the club go like, "Oh, you're my spirit animal, man. Like, your energy is so like, I know you're drunk just like me." And I'm like, "No, buddy, I'll punch you square in the face right now. You'll see how drunk I really am."
You want to know how
But,
I know that Ryan doesn't have kids?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't know how, but just kidding.
You have too much energy. I
Oh,
used to be high energy too, and then I had
And
twins.
then it just yeah.
All of a sudden,
Yeah, you got hit with the doubles. But no.
go directly
But
to
no,
jail.
Exactly. No, but I definitely think it's really important that people balance things, and it's weird. There's just so much reckless spending out right now in this economy. I just don't know what's going to be the end goal here.
Let me.
It's
let
going to
me-
be
go
interesting.
ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I listen to a lot of different. Ed Millett will be one of the guys. I mean,
I met Ed
Joe
Millett.
Rogan. Well,
I met him.
Right?
Really?
Yeah,
And
I
so
met him. He was down here in San Diego. I met him.
What are some of the triggers in his life? And he points to when he had a job. Kind of, he's told, "Hey, you've got a job, and you're going to go down and work here." And it was a beautiful thing because he was actually serving
Oh, his dad got him the
homeless
job.
kids,
Mm-hmm.
and that was a transition for him. That giving cause him to be able to receive, if you will.
Well, yeah, giving
it's-
is living, like Tony Robbins
Give
would
it.
say.
Well, there you go. And so I think you're onto something, is what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope I am. If I'm not, then I don't know
What the hell are we doing
what
here?
the hell are we doing here. No, but I definitely, like, I think in life, you know how many times I've actually saved people, and, like, there will be women completely drunk,
Yeah.
passed out, and I'm like, hey, I call security over, some guys harass, there's just a lot of weird stuff that you see as well. So, as a Christian and as a man that is, faith, very God, I guess I can't say I'm godly, but I definitely am like, I definitely feel there's a purpose wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And as long as your intentions and everything you do in your life is pure and out of doing the right thing, I feel like you'll just kind of end up like, I've met so many celebrities just on those things. That's how I met Ed Milet. I've met just so many different folks, and I don't know. I believe God has a way of putting you wherever you need to be.
Well, it's also the lead link, the attraction. You give what you put out. At the end of the day, like I want to push out as much positive as I can, right? But you have good days and bad days, and a lot of people have to start to rein that in. At some point, you turn those days into hours. The bad days are not bad days; they're bad hours. They're bad minutes. They're bad seconds.
You minimize them.
You have to minimize them, because at the end of the day, the more good you push out there, the more positive you can create. What do you think we're doing here? This is it. This is the epitome of push it out there and make it good in the world. If you ask, you shall receive type thing. I'm gonna let Pastor Doug, on that. But
Oh boy, yeah, I struggled just like everybody else the other day. One of my friends saw it. Hey, Doug, you're a little down, and you think you've heard everything, but you never have, and that's kind of fun. Says that you've heard the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, and of course we can all relate to that. And the grass is greener where you water it.
yeah,
I thought, wow, I can work with that.
Yeah, Doug, were you down because you shot like 2 over?
what?
It's a golf reference.
Yes, that's Doug's down day.
I know. I was talking this morning. I was like, Doug, you want to come on this show? I was like, yeah, it'd be fine. I was just golfing the other day. I shot like 2 under. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that was like the first hole. That was it. I had a good shot.
We got to get back out there. But going back, the whole debt thing. So a lot of people don't realize what happens to their debt. Like, to stay on that consumer debt piece, say just mortgages are a good, easy topic to understand. Mortgages and cars, it's collateralized, the same thing. The loan's the same, right? So if you've got a car loan, you got a mortgage, it's essentially you borrow it from the bank. The bank then turns around and collects, for 2-3 months worth of payments, and then sells it. They sell the rights to that debt, that piece of paper that says you owe me, the IOU. They sell that to secondary markets. So what they'll do is they recapitalize, relend that money out again. At the end of the day, who is the one selling from A to B to the secondary markets? Well, you've got all these, you've got the Wall Street, the Fannie, the Freddie, but what about the stuff that's more risky? The stuff that has to be in the ecosystem now, because you can't just rely on super A+ credit. There's no A+ credit anymore. Where you're really going to see people suffer in credit is, number one, student loans. The student loans, as they start to really hit their credit, people took out hundreds of thousands, seriously, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans. When they start to report negatively, your average credit score, people who are in 800s are now going to go in the 500s. Your average national credit score is going to drop into the 5s. No one's going to be able to afford. The regulations are going to loosen up, and you're going to have a nice big shit sandwich. So
Which, I mean, the student loans relate directly to what Ryan was saying, is people want to adjust their spending. I mean, most payments are between 200 and 500. Like, it's unfathomable to me that you can't adjust your spending to figure out 200 to 500 a month. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I don't know how people are complaining about, like, I see how much you spend at Starbucks, you see how much they spend out, but yet they're not willing to adjust to pay
Well,
their
it's
student loans.
and I think the mentality. Again, I'll put my age out there because I think it may be crucial to this conversation. Is I'm 27. I'm about to be 28 next month. The mentality of young people right now, I feel like, in a lot of ways, they feel this, screw it. Like, almost screw it. Let it. I was just talking to a gentleman the other day. He goes, all right, I think I'm just gonna file bankruptcy or something. Yeah, just it's not this standard of like, just wanting to. It's almost not like, oh, I want to fix it. It's more like, screw it. I'll just, the economy's going down anyway. That's why I think some people
That's
are feeling.
interesting.
It's an interesting concept. And then I thought to myself, well, if you already own your place, you don't really need your credit score. You kind of can get to negotiate now with the bank on how much you owe them. I don't know. I guess it kind of doesn't sound like I shouldn't say it's a bad idea, but you get to negotiate, and then your credit's jacked, but then you kind of saved maybe $25,000 if you negotiate half on all of them. I don't know. Is that crazy to say something like that on a podcast? But
I would ask a question to that.
I'm just thinking.
I mean, right? Because you're 27, I'm
Yeah.
63. I would say, and of course, we want to bring encouragement for everyone
futures
to be
to
able
come,
to buy a property, to be able to sell correctly
yeah.
and move on, take care of your
Flourish.
family, your parents,
Yeah.
your kids, your grandkids. But based on what I was just listening to, I would have to ask the question. I mean, has the American dream been redefined?
Well, it's definitely getting modified. It's definitely having its own, hey, we don't like this. We should just get rid of it. Like, that's definitely happening. We're seeing it all over the country where people are, and some of these are, arguably good, arguments, but it's interesting to see. I just feel like people just kind of like going, to this mentality of like, because back then it was all about like building empires, building, towers, all this cool stuff, having, the guts and the courage to be the best. Now it's more like, I'll live in my mom's house for another 20 years.
Well,
She doesn't mind.
Well, it's a McMansion because her mom's a millennial or, older, was it Gen X, whatever? Or
Yeah, there's Gen
younger,
X, and then there's silent. I like my favorite generation's the silent X.
I think I'm the silent generation as I'm turning 40, so I'm in between. I'm like at the between millennial and is that the silent generation?
No,
or
baby boomers. Silent X is like 80 and up.
Oh,
so that's
gotcha,
most of
gotcha.
my clients.
Okay.
Those are my favorite people. You know why? Because they tell you they don't hold back and get it done. I like those folks.
Right to the point.
Are you talking about the generation Tales from the Crypt? They're just the like which? How old are we talking?
We're talking like 80 and up.
Like
Silent X.
I've had some nightmares. I was right next to Fright Night, so back as a kid in the 60s.
But the baby boomers, I personally love the baby boomers too. I don't know why. I think they're funny. I think they're humorous. Oh, they're the worst.
They're the worst.
I think my generation is really grinding my gears right now because I just feel like I get the economy is really tough, but I still just, and maybe I'm old school in my mind. I just don't think you can cut corners to where, like I've had YouTuber clients, famous YouTube clients. They're like, oh, what are you doing today, Ryan? I'm like, I'm working. What are you doing? Oh, I posted a video. Oh, cool. Yeah, there's a big difference. Not saying that's not hard work to its own degree if you're editing it and doing it yourself.
Okay, I am.
It's just,
I'm
it's
saying it's
different.
not hard work.
There's just different things that I think are going on, and I think we're really in this country right now in a weird place where people are more inclined to have this, screw it, I don't care, I'll let my credit go to crap.
I mean,
Instead
apathy,
of-
is that the...
Yeah, I guess, I don't know,
Apathetic.
I don't know, I just feel like the bar has gotten to this point where it's just
What
not as,
would, I mean, Brett, Anthony's
you guys
Mr.
should be-
Positive. If
yeah.
I need a shot in the arm, I'll try to hang out with this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
How would you speak
We
to that?
literally
say-
just talked about this
right?
morning.
But the small baby steps, like wake up in the day and, be thankful for something. I
Yeah.
mean, or
I have positive affirmations every morning, but,
There was this this really interesting show. Show is probably the wrong term. It's this area on Netflix where it was meditation, and I was like, oh, let me take a look at it. Let me try it because I'm weird. So after my wife would go to work or whatever, I'd turn it on. It's like 30 minutes. This is like 6:30 in the morning. The dogs feed the dogs, whatever it is, and there's finally calm-ishness in the house, pre-baby. So I'd sit there and be 30 minutes in the breathing and the techniques, and it was all from this guy who left his New York life. I think it was New York, some busy city, to go to, I think it was Tibet, some where the monasteries were, and it was like he just gave all of his worldly possessions up. He's like, you know what? This is not for me. I gotta go. And he just flew out and lived there for months and to try to get that enlightened sense. And one of the drills was when he wakes up in the morning, before anything else, he sits up into bed And once you sit up into bed, you look around, and for like 10 minutes, you just acknowledge that you are where you are, your presence in life. And believe it or not, it doesn't take 10, it takes about 2. Because I would do that, and I'd wake up in the morning, because the first thing I do is, boom, look at the phone, text, email, because East Coast time, there's clients that we have 4, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, texting me, emailing me, I got to get up. So the first thing I do, boom, there's the phone. Let that go. Let that go for 2 minutes. Acknowledge where you are. Got my beautiful wife, got my beautiful baby, beautiful house. Life is good. And then from that point, you can start jumping off. And that's where I see a lot of people not acknowledging, the hard work that we do, the hard work that a lot of people do. It pays,
I think it's an expectation too, right? So you have this generation, Ryan, if we're talking about people your age or what you're seeing is, they grew up in the McMansions, so they have huge houses they can chill in kind of and go back to. And I mean, realistically, that generation has been taken care of so well by their parents.
Right.
Like the parents wanted their kids to have everything they didn't have, right?
Yeah.
Better life. So, I mean, you have this expectation issue.
Yeah, and then we had a group little thing where we talked about this generation, and the main comment or main thing was, we have the most accepting generation. I said, acceptance is good. However, to what limit? Because we can't accept everything. You can't be accepting to all things. You have to be, again, if you're going to accept somebody just sleeping in till 12 and not working now, or doesn't want to, do things to better themselves, so now the burden is, I always tell people, you can do whatever you want in life as long as you're not affecting other people negatively, whether it's financially, physically, you can do whatever you want. And with those limits of the laws of the land and so forth. But I just think it's really important that with acceptance, there also becomes, because sometimes acceptance can be translated to whatever that interpretation is. And I think right now we see a lot of it politically, and kind of the tensions that arise for many people, and most middle ground individuals that are like, hey, this is kind of is not going in the direction, because like right now silent quitting is a big thing. And I actually know the individuals that were on Dr. Phil talking about that topic, and it's something that I don't want to take over, but it's just, I think it's just an interesting concept, and it's going to be an interesting thing to see how that all plays out. And people don't feel like they should work 5 days a week. It should be 4. Like that's on the discussion board lately too. It should be 4 days a week, not 5.
I think that used to represent retirement.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Right.
It's going to be interesting though, because
that's a very good point.
What I'm worried about in this country, truthfully, is part of me is an entrepreneur, and part of me is like, should I just go to Mexico and get out of here, and like just have a good life? Like, there's so many rules and things, taxation's getting out. Like I don't know. It's weird to have these thoughts.
Well, that's been a big baby boomer thing, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I say, I don't know, probably 10% of the boomers have expatriated and said, okay, I'm cashing out, I'm checking out.
Well, yeah. And I talked to a lot of them, and they're like, Ryan, if things don't change, I'm just gonna. And maybe it's just a California thing. Maybe I'm just more sheltered because I've lived in San Diego my whole life, and I just feel like it's there's not a lot of prosperity. There's not hey, if I double down and I kick butt, the results are great, but then you get penalized. Because if you make more money, then you get penalized for it. It's just an interesting system, I feel like.
It really is. I've probably got about 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
I need to cash out myself here. We're in Vegas now.
Yeah.
But
Color me up, baby.
5 days.
But in light of the dynamics, the social dynamics that you were referring to, the different generations, the different perspectives, apathy, the idea of, okay, well, I can go out and work 9 to 5, 6 days a week, and get a home and have security for my family. Well, maybe the goalposts have been moved. Okay, what is value? There's a lot of different perspectives that are permeating throughout our country. Yeah. And another opportunity, I'll just call it an opportunity right now, I think you were referring to boundaries earlier, and one of the boundaries that we don't have is our borders. And so there's any number of people that are here that will have to assimilate. I'm sure that probably 70% will make a real effort too, or some number to assimilate so that they can achieve dreams, i.e. hope. And they have those hopes, and there's still a platform of the infrastructure of our country to provide that here.
Well,
And
and I
so,
think
so there's some opportunity there is kind of what I'm putting on
well,
the
yeah,
table.
no,
before
I agree with you.
get
Trust
out
me,
of here.
I feel really blessed that I am growing up somewhat because I know that as everybody's silent quitting and I'm doubling down on my workload,
Right.
that I'm going to thrive because I would have
Yeah.
hated to go against the eye of the tiger phase. Like those people,
Right.
your generation was, let's all, be super successful.
Yeah.
I'm going up against people that want to leave 2 hours earlier and probably won't even submit the project and are pending a lawsuit against the employer already with the labor board.
Well, right, and there's some righteousness or lack of righteousness or sustainability or lack of sustainability in there. Hopefully,
that-
those two
yeah.
are synonymous.
I hope so.
Yet, I would suggest that there is an influx of people, and they're still coming in.
Yep.
That there's opportunity. They're seeking opportunity.
Totally.
So how can we be part of that success?
Yeah,
How-
totally.
How can we be part of that successful assimilation process?
Yeah.
What values can we bring? What does that look like for us?
Yeah.
So I think there's a way to not even put a spin on it, but actually grab
Make
a
it a
hold of
positive.
that one family, one person at a time. And I think we're going to see some of our statutes, our particularly precedent law, changing. Okay, well, unless you're a resident, you can't get a loan. Fannie Freddie might even be taking a look at that. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff on the table. I'm kind of dropping a bomb as I go.
There needs to be some, things
Right.
like this so people feel like they're in a country that's helping the people that are here and have been, to help them grow. Is, what's the point of working your butt off if you feel like at the end of the tunnel it's here, just pay more in this or, good luck, and they're not getting supported.
No, I
That's
mean,
how I feel.
Doug, you brought up a good point about moving the goalposts. If you look back 50 years ago, a gentleman, whatever, a single income household could work 9 to 5 and be able to, and depending on your job, you'd at least have a house. The goal was for you to purchase a house. You could afford a house. It may not be the biggest house. It may be the smallest house, but you had a home, right? And now you look at today, you look at the numbers that are coming across San Diego. If you're not making $278,000 for a family of 4, you can't really make it. I mean, the goalposts have moved substantially. We have multiple earners in a household now, and they still can't buy a home. They still can't get that, what was considered early, mid 90s, the American dream is to have that home with 2 kids and a dog, whatever, and they can't get there. So, as far as like expectations, I think silent quitting, expectations, it's just like all adding up to the goalpost has been moved. The goal line's been moved so far. What do we do next?
Yeah, and people don't feel like it's reachable.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's definitely going to have to be some changes that help people, because even myself, I'm born and raised in San Diego. I don't know if I want to be here anymore. I have, a couple of successful businesses here, and I've made, I think, a really good name for myself here, and I know so many people, but again, I just think, is it worth the gray hairs? Is it worth the stress to keep up with, what's going on here? And not to be a negative Debbie Downer on your podcast.
Sounds like you'd crush it in Texas,
Yeah.
where there's no income tax.
Well, but so just to Doug, you got to run, Doug.
I do. I'm gonna have to say thank you, Ryan.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure meeting you.
Oh yeah,
and
great meeting you. And you're a smart man. I can tell.
That's kind of
All the
you.
words
that's-
you said and everything.
Very articulate.
Yeah,
so
very
this is why
articulate.
Doug's
That's the
Doug's
wisdom.
my
That's
guy.
the
Yeah, it's a
wisdom there.
wisdom.
So Doug,
Hopefully
thank you
that's
for-
true.
No, it
Brett,
is.
it's always good to share with you and hang out.
Let's hit 9 real
think
soon, okay?
it's gonna
I
have
think
to
I can
happen.
beat you. I think.
I really
you-
don't think so.
I play my best golf with Doug. Doug
really? Oh,
Doug takes
good.
me to an upper echelon.
I do
so.
my best drinking with Doug. So
There we go.
Anthony
we'll-
as well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
And,
you.
Yeah, to everyone listening, a blessed weekend and Easter Sunday or Monday actually to you guys and everyone. And we have faith, hope, and love. And I know that these gentlemen here, they'll look to incorporate that if you choose to work out or reach out, work with them. So all the best, you guys.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, Doug.
okay, so
Yes.
Anthony Joplin here with Brett Goda, your favorite C Revest
Marketing team.
Vice President of
President.
Strategic Partnerships. It's important because the title matters, right? It's not just a sales guy. You're not just a marketing guy. You're a strategic partner. You're an alliance.
I do like that I let them know that I'm an advocate
Mhm.
for their institution.
True.
I really bring myself to their side of the line as we have a good cop, bad cop relationship. And they understand that.
I think so. So this is really great. I'm glad Ryan's on here. So Ryan is, I've known Ryan for many years. I coached him in high school football. Really, really good guy. He
Still
actually
coaching me.
Well, I love it, man.
You need all the help you can get at this point.
Exactly. Still getting coaching.
Oh, shit.
And like all of our meetings, Anthony receives a phone call.
Of course, it's Josh.
Take it. If you need to take it,
you
we'll,
may
we'll
need
just
to take
re-break
that.
I may
it.
have to take
Yeah,
it.
no,
Yeah,
take
take it. See what he's saying. Probably trying to get a hold of
bud.
me.
I'm actually doing a podcast. What are you doing? Yeah, I'm doing a podcast. It's for advertising purposes, and I actually stopped the podcast to answer the phone.
The one thing that's nice about
Good.
banks
Yay.
is no one
Love
works
you.
on Fridays.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, I'm so glad I took the call. Wonderful. Jordan, how are you? I'm good. What's going on? Wait, hold on. 1 second. Hey, I'm going to put this on speaker. Can we cut this out?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Okay, so
Here,
all right,
I'll-
Josh, you're on speaker. I got Brett here.